fits in there nice.
Does it?
Yay,
Oh
how
yeah,
are
it
you?
looks screwed.
Now, congratulations, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make a big
We're all set.
We're on.
Who helped
You ready, Megan?
Yep, I'm
Jimmy,
set.
Can I,
Heavy, huh?
Like that, but maybe you're the man with it.
Megan Haley wanted me to put her on speaker, is
Yeah.
that okay?
Okay.
Should put it on the
Thank
tie
you.
though, John.
American flag. Oh, I forgot my That way.
Hi, you're on speaker. Okay. Put you right here.
Okay, I'd like to call this caucus meeting to order. I'll be looking for a motion, as always, to dispense with the regular meeting of the first Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, except everybody. Clerk, one piece of communication. Any questions or comments on communication? Mayor's report. Mayor Miller.
I'll read it on the floor, that's okay.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to read all this. I don't know what it's about, but whatever you guys want to do, if you want to add it, if you want to discuss it in committee next week.
Up to these guys. Anybody have an issue with it? Would you rather go over it in committee when we have time to go over it?
Can we get an explanation on it?
Sure. What do you want to do that under?
Do it under committees.
Okay.
We'll go
Explanation.
committees next in case you have to add it.
Maybe you wanted to bring it out tonight.
Well, you got to do
Right.
other committees.
Okay.
So do you want to, can I have her elaborate on it? Because there's no sense in calling a meeting if we're not going to bring it
Right.
out.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. This is. Was this the one with Bobo?
Yes.
Okay. We have a couple of them apparently. So, we place liens on properties every 6 months. And we've been trying to get a lot more of the properties with our grass cutting, because some of them, we haven't been parceling them off. So we're trying to place the liens so that we can acquire the properties from the land banks, so that we can either sell to the neighbors or to try to get someone to build something on. This gentleman came in, he purchased the property, I believe, December of '21, after the lien wasn't placed. It wasn't his property when the lien was placed. So we didn't put it on until 6 months. So it really
So it's
doesn't
void.
belong, so it's void.
Yes.
It really doesn't belong to him. And he showed us all the documentation, we
Yeah.
looked in the auditor site too. So that we talked to, the auditors, they said that we have to get a resolution from council, just.
Because if it was on this year's, if it was this year's lien, it would have been okay, we could have just called down there and taken it off. But because it was last year's lien,
Okay.
now we need a council resolution to remove it.
Can I ask a few questions on this?
Yes.
It is 6 months, we do it every 6 months. Is
Every
that
6 months.
because it's labor intensive or difficult to do?
That's
Because,
the way the county asked for it.
okay, well the problem with that is if
When
we have
wind up with
4
situations
months,
like this.
well, not only that, but if we have 4 months of grass cutting on somebody and they sell their house, that 4 months of grass cutting we did for free. Because if it's not on prior to the sale,
Right.
it's not
Normally
on.
Well,
they call us,
Like
and they
you,
say,
if you make an inquiry into, we can tell you that we have some that are pending to go to, and then they can clear that up before that happens. This one we missed. Okay, so the sale went through, they never called us to inquire whether it was on the outstanding debt. We missed it, it got assessed, and then there was, because by the time he found out about it, there was
Sure.
another $77 added to it or something. So the full amount is actually a little bit more than what we leaned, but we have to forgive all of it, because they
Okay.
charge him a service charge.
My concern is less with this one and
Yeah.
would have been more with moving forward and, like I said, if it's an every 6 month period, we can do work for 5 months.
Yes.
And the house can be sold, and if it's not, that lien isn't appropriated prior to sale, it's
Right.
not
And
valid.
a lot of times they call and ask if there was any outstanding liens that have not been assessed yet. That happens quite a bit,
This one
especially
just did it.
realtors will call us about that,
Or me.
or you.
I don't,
Yeah, we should probably take care of it for that.
yeah,
case
I mean,
anyway.
if it was prior to his purchase date, it's not his lien. And if it went through a full close,
Can't
would
we
have had to go
recoup
on
that
prior
money
to
from
that.
the people that own the house when they sold it?
That-
Well, it would have been,
Because if we have
he,
proof that we've
everything
done
that,
it.
because we had a lot of liens against this property before he bought it. And he cleared them all. And then this here one was added after he had already paid all the back liens on it.
Okay.
That's where this one got added. Because there was other liens from the city for grass cutting on that property, and he had already paid all those.
Well, and to my knowledge, grass cutting's a little different. Grass cutting only gets liened by the property, it doesn't go to the person. So we don't actually find the person,
Right.
we lien the property, so there would be
Property.
no recourse at that point, you know what I mean?
But the person has to pay property taxes and it comes out
Right.
of
Right,
that.
so when they bought this
But
this
it's not their
property,
house anymore.
they had to pay
Right.
all the back taxes
That's
on
what I'm
that
saying.
property. And so that includes the lien. So they bought it, but then this lien was added after he had already settled
Yeah.
the, so that's what happened there.
And
What
it's
happens is
probably
it-
not- go ahead.
It doesn't happen a lot.
When you sell a property, you get a title search. When they do the
Right,
title
right.
search, they check for any liens. Whatever liens are
You pay them all.
are already liened at that time have to be taken care of at that point. But if there was one lingering that wasn't actually turned into the county yet, if it was turned in after that title search, it's void. So I would say we might as well just convene and take care of this. Everybody good?
Yep, good.
I'd like to call this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Bayes?
I'm here.
Mr. Valick?
Here.
Got one piece. It is a resolution authorizing the auditor of Mahoning County to remove liens placed on real estate located in the city of Struthers pursuant to section 743.04 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to bring it out.
I'll make a motion.
Need
I'll
a-
second it.
Anybody, anything else for this committee?
You wanna talk about the one that John was doing with?
John,
Oh.
do we have it here? Would that go under finance and legislation?
What is this the one Ronnie brought you?
Yeah.
The resolution,
Yes.
Yeah, you wanna talk about it?
I could wait till next meeting, it don't matter unless you guys wanna do it.
I'm just, if there's anything else for this committee, if not, I'll get at it, and that's all.
Well, if we have a little bit of time, why not just
Yeah.
go on it right now then?
Alright, let's go on it then.
Okay. We have a copy of it?
I just have this one that I was working on and John was looking at it.
Okay. This is, I'll just read it aloud. This is a resolution asking the Mahoning County Commissioners for the sum of $900,000 for the culvert replacement on Judith Lane and 8th Street in the city of Struthers and declaring an emergency. Ron, you want to speak?
Now, the reason why I'm asking that is because of the people up there are getting flooding and I'm getting calls. So, and I wanna bring it out and send it to the county and see what they're gonna do. See if they're gonna support us on it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to know, before these guys pass or do anything, what studies or documentation, engineer paperwork,
That's been
warranties.
studied by the, down by the wastewater, down by the plant.
I haven't seen nothing. I haven't, we should see
Matter of
some.
fact, the mayor brought it up at the last meeting.
Yeah, we spoke about it several times, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
May I?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something that we've talked about at length multiple times, that right now, it's, the flooding on Judith Lane is affecting one, maybe two houses. The problem is that it's eroding, the creek is eroding some of the property there. We are aware of that, we've done studies, we finished the first study through DLZ. The second part of the study is
Here's
on
the
this one. The second part of the study is $179,000 for the second part. We can't just go off, we have to make sure everything's engineered properly. They did have some suggestions in here, which Frank DeMarco has been diligently speaking with Rudzik to try to get a price, try to see what kind of ballpark we're in. We did already meet with the commissioners roughly about a month ago,
The date's on there,
August 16th,
Can I
so
have
about a month
something too?
ago.
This $900,000 figure, do we have a basis that we know that that's what the project would cost? Is that enough? Is it too
No.
much? Is it?
We went on August 16th, Bob and myself, Guy, Frank, asking the commissioners for ARPA funds. This is the list as to priority. So the first thing that we requested was Vector truck, the second one was the State Street overflow, elimination, new sanitary sewer for $22,500,000, Bridge Street main pump station replacement 140, and a backhoe for 100,000. The stormwater request as to priority is a 72-inch storm trunk line replacement of the 5th Street issue that we have going on that we're also studying with DLC that is $1,200,000. That is a top priority for the city because it affects many more residents' basements. So we have to focus, we're not saying we're not doing anything with the culvert replacement on 8th Street, but the priority has to be the 5th Street because it's affecting more people. So having a resolution put forth by council, it's throwing kind of a wrench in what
Are
we're
you saying
trying to
that
do.
are you saying that they're after the same funds? Is that?
Yes, they're absolutely. So we already spoke with the commissioners, we had a meeting, we have put a letter together, and you guys, I can pass this around, but we requested $700,000 for the culvert replacement. We can't just.
That's for the 5th Street.
That's for,
No, this is
that's
for the
Judith
8th,
Lane.
this is Judith Lane and 8th.
We
Okay,
requested
okay.
700,000.
Yes.
But you're saying our,
And we're requesting
Right.
1.1 million for 5th Street.
1.2 million.
1.2.
but our number one priority is the one.
It has to be the 72-inch
Yes.
storm sewer because if it's already collapsed twice, and I don't know if you've seen them digging up in the St. Nick's parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That thing has already collapsed twice, it's rotting away, so that's a priority that we have to, because if that goes out on us, we're in big
And
trouble.
that
So
is a
number one-
72-inch?
That's a 72-inch.
And that's the one that's gonna run from Rita all the way down to St. Nick's then?
It will,
'Cause I was with those guys when they did that,
yeah,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
right, that's the area we're looking at trying
From Rita,
to help
that
with
comes,
that $1.2 million.
All the way down, yes.
right.
And there's
That-
different things on Judith Lane. We have one gentleman whose house does get flooded, George Glegor. I spoke with him personally, he stopped at the office a few times, and we explained to him what was going on. Talked to him at length about everything, about the details, about the study. And Frank has been working with some of the outcomes from the first phase to see if there's little things that we can fix to help with, because that's the one resident that keeps flooding. So if we can build some earthen dams there, or try to just replace the culvert. They're also suggesting that we make the entire creek line it with cement. Cost-wise, that's something we're gonna be going after grants for, but if we're able to request funds from ARPA, from the county, they have to be in a,
Well, there's
have to
cement tombs
prioritize
actually
those.
like farther up behind like Kalbaski's house.
Yeah.
There's actually,
Right.
they're talking about doing that the whole way down,
Yes.
is that what?
yes.
So your resolution requesting money, that's already been done. In the letter on August 16th, we already asked the county for the money for that
For
project.
700 and.
700,000.
That is on,
But your fear is, by asking this, it will hinder the $1.2 million
Right.
5th Street, is
Yes.
that?
yes.
You're-
It's gonna
if
throw
you're-
everything out of we have to prioritize everything.
You can't just go in and ask for $2 million.
Yeah, I know, I understand.
It'd be nice
And
if
I
they give
know
it
that
to
look
us,
to
but
the people
yeah,
on 5th Street whose
unfortunately.
basements are flooding. We understand it's a concern, but we are,
Didn't MS do, study?
I
on
guess
that?
my other thing
We've done two studies so far on Judith Lane.
MS did one, didn't they, a while back and
yes,
built
and
that
it was
culvert up?
supposed to be,
So we
the
got,
culvert was supposed to be large.
right,
Right.
so here's the thing, before we enlarge the culvert or do anything else, that will eliminate the problem, but you have to do the $172,000 study to see what effect it will have on Clementi's funeral home, what effect it will have on
Yes.
the culvert down on Maplewood. So you have to know the effects. When you restrict the water
Yeah.
up there, it's going to cause problems downstream.
Right.
So now our next phase is the $172,000 engineering study, and then we can get into the culvert replacement costs, which we're estimating is gonna be around $300,000. That's
By
just,
getting
that's just a
these-
really rough estimate.
They've
By
also
getting these
discussed putting them
studies-
under loans too.
Well, I was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
by getting these studies done, does that put us in obviously puts us in a better position for either grant funding
Yes.
You have to
or
Have to
loans,
have it.
or,
or loans.
You
or loans.
can't request, most of the grants now, that's why you have to have the planning done ahead of time, you have to have the engineering, you have to have everything done. You can't do it without that in place, so yes, yes.
And Clegor isn't the only one that gets flooded up there. Penman's got flooded last time.
Right.
Yes.
But compared to the 10, 15, 20 people that are getting flooded on Fifth Street.
Well, in
But are you
regards.
talking about the houses or the creek?
I'm talking about the creek and the houses, both
The,
of them.
the creek
Them is-
overflowing, the creek is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I know some of the neighbors aren't happy, but I've talked to Sandy, I've talked to Caucus, I've talked to everybody on both sides of the creek. It is doing, every time when we show the video of the rushing water, that's what it's supposed to do. The creek is supposed to funnel that out. Within 25, 30, 40 minutes, that creek has subsided drastically. But that's the purpose of it, or that water would be in everyone's basements.
But are we
So it's
having
doing what it's supposed to
erosion
do.
problems through that creek?
Yes, over time, that is going to erode. That's why we have to have the study in place, that's why it's gonna have to be concreted eventually.
Are we able to do any small things currently that could help alleviate this, such as building up, such as riprap,
Yes.
or things like that that will help the erosion and that will kind of keep it funneling where
I
it's
don't
supposed
think
to?
it mentioned the riprap, but as far as the flooding goes, there are little things such as like the earthen dams that Frank DeMarco was talking about. And there is something they can do with the culvert size too, but Frank's really been working on this. So it's not like this is, just because it's second on the priority list doesn't mean we're not paying attention to it. But funding wise, we have to follow the proper steps in order to do that. That's all.
Okay.
And if you guys wanna see, if we can pass that around too, cause that's our,
I think
those
I
are our
already did.
top
Everybody see that?
priorities.
Yeah.
And they're
So
both categorized for
There's two different ones, we
wastewater
have one
and
for wastewater,
stormwater.
and then the stormwater one is what, the Judith Lane will fall under. So we have two different priorities.
Actually, can you just probably make one for everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we are still
Sure,
under
another
finance
piece
and
if you want.
legislation.
Copy.
So what do we wanna do with this piece? You wanna just hold off and wait?
On that one, obviously, I think we should wait on that one, because if we're gonna prioritize another project before that.
I will not be here next week, so I don't know if you want me to have Frank come to the next meeting and explain, because I'm gonna be.
What does everybody else think?
I mean, it makes sense, I mean, what the mayor's saying, I mean, in terms of making, having certain priorities.
I mean, I would love to be able to get it fixed
Oh,
right
sure.
now. I
Yeah,
mean, that,
yeah, right.
uh,
But I mean, it sounds like we need another study done before that can even be done anyway,
We do.
you know, so, I think that asking for the money, might be a little premature in that respect, because
we don't know the actual cost.
we don't know that, yeah, we don't have the
That's
study.
because our problem is, not that we don't wanna get these projects done, but we have to go through certain channels, and these studies are a big channel that we have to get done before we can get anything done.
And there's infrastructure money coming down the pipeline that's gonna be available, that once we have this completed, we're gonna already be ahead of the game, because we can apply for them with the project completed, and just say, this is the total cost, this is what we need. So we'll be ahead of the game once that money becomes available.
And the commissioners are generous and gives us the $2 million for both projects, that's just a big plus.
Yeah.
Well, we're currently already asking for the money to fix it.
Yeah, okay. So we just gotta wait and see.
So
what
pretty much I'm gonna give this back to Megan and just,
Yeah, we met with their attorneys were there too, because they have to make sure that the projects that we're putting forth can fall under the ARPA funds, the guidelines, because it's federal dollars. So some of them may not fall under, but we're pretty sure all of these will. So we're just waiting on the attorneys to make sure before they grant us anything.
Where are we with the study on Fish Street? How far along did we get with that?
Phase 1 is complete. They gave us a price, and I have it in
It's
the office. I can
It's in the office, if you wanna look at it afterwards, it is in the office.
Okay,
They gave us a list of what needs to be done next.
the properties, everything else, whatnot,
Yes.
where to go, and,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah, if I can't figure it.
Do you want copies of these studies? I can copy this too if you want.
Sure.
okay, anybody else, anything for finance and legislation? Motion to adjourn?
I'll motion.
Second. Back to you, Lynn.
Thanks, Dallas.
Yep.
Okay, going under committees, any committee meetings for next week?
Yeah, does anybody else need one? Okay, I'll call finance and legislation, for the 5th, correct? The 5th. Yes, for October 5th at 6 o'clock.
Anybody else have a meeting for next Wednesday? None. Legislation, we got one piece, and we talked about that. Any other comments on legislation? Unfinished business?
I do.
Yes, sir.
All right. We talked about this before. If you guys remember, this has to deal with Monk's State Street Billiards. Back in October of '21, there was a application that was filed by Justin McManus to transfer the existing permit into his name. Additionally, there was an application for a new class permit, which, if I am correct, would have extended the existing permit or service of alcohol to 2:30 a.m. There was a hearing that was held before the Liquor Control Division on February 23rd of this year. And that's the hearing that both Chief Roddy and I participated in by Zoom or whatever they used. Following that hearing, the division made a decision denying both the transfer and the application for the new permit to Mr. McManus. The stated reasons for the denial, and I'm sorry I got to go through some of this with you so you understand. February 28th, 2020, the police were dispatched to Monks on an aggravated menacing report where Mr. McManus picked up a bottle of beer in a threatening manner and threatened to kill the complainant. Mr. McManus later texted the complainant that he would kill everyone. The complainant did not press charges. On October 10th, 2020, the police were dispatched to Monks on a criminal mischief report where Mr. McManus damaged toilets in a manner that caused them to run continuously and overflow. The complainant was Mrs. McManus, his now ex-wife, who had a restraining order against her husband which prevented him from coming to the bar. March 31st, 2021, the police were dispatched to Monks on a report regarding Mr. McManus's children being at the bar in violation of a custody order which required him to return the children to Mrs. McManus after visitation. On July 8th, 2021, Mr. McManus reported to the police that he was threatened by his wife during a custody exchange. July 21st, 2021, the police responded to Rips Cafe on a report of menacing after Mr. McManus entered the establishment and approached the complainant in a confrontational manner and indicated that once his probation was up in 4 months, he would bash his skull in. On November 20th, 2020, Mr. McManus was criminally charged for violating a protection order in this court for entering the residence of his now ex-wife. On December 4th, 2020, the municipal court, Mr. McManus pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of disorderly conduct. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail. All of that was suspended. He was fined $250 and placed on community control or probation for 12 months. April 10th, 2006, this is going back a while, but Mr. McManus was charged in Mahoney County Court, number 5 in Canfield, with telephone harassment and with aggravated menacing. Both of those are misdemeanors of the first degree. On April 19th, 2006, he pled no contest to 2 counts of a reduced charge of disorderly conduct. Again, misdemeanors of the 4th degree, was fined $75. He was given a suspended 30-day jail sentence and placed on 12 months probation. The reason why I bring this up is because I just became aware that there's actually Mr. McManus retained counsel. They appealed this decision to the board, to the Liquor Control Commission, and I found out that that is actually set for a hearing down in Columbus next week. Now, it's my understanding that Mr. McManus's attorneys aren't going to be able to make it, so depending on what happens today, they're probably going to request a continuance. This is a decision that council makes, and I think Megan, doing what Megan was told to do before, gathered up all the reports without consulting with council, and given the number of reports that were out there, she automatically appealed Mr. McManus's applications. That's why we had the hearing in February. I guess my question now to council is, what are your thoughts on continuing to oppose this, or do we care?
So you're saying that back in February, council should have voted on this or taken a stance on it and did not?
I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying that, again, Megan doing what Megan was previously told to do, gathered up all the reports, saw all the reports, and she then, based on the number of reports that were made, that's when she opposed or objected on behalf of council to both the transfer and the issuance of the new permit.
So should council have voted on this?
It's probably good procedure going forward. I'm not sure that it's necessarily detrimental now.
I would,
But
personally, I have to abstain.
Megan is our official record person.
Correct.
So she has a right to do that.
That's right. But I would say going forward, it's probably good practice.
But
That
we
you at least
all
become aware
voted
of
for
it.
her to be that person.
Understood.
So she's,
No, I'm not saying she did anyway.
right.
No, and that's not where I'm necessarily going. Where I'm going with this is, do we want to continue to oppose it, or not? I guess since council did not have an opportunity to discuss it initially, I think it's probably time now that council discuss it and find out what council's intent is in continuing to oppose the issuance or the transfer to Mr. McManus.
So if we were gonna go around the table, I would abstain. If it became a tie, Mike would be the tiebreaker, correct?
That's correct.
What's his point on this? I mean, you know, why does he feel that he deserves to have this license? I mean,
I don't know the answer to that question. What I could probably surmise is he was interested in buying a business.
Right.
He went in, bought a business, and didn't think that it would necessarily be a problem in getting it transferred into his name.
Okay.
I think the problem came in when council opposed the transfer, and that's where we're at now. So I don't.
But
She's a good lady.
Do you need a resolution or just around the table?
I just need something to know what I'm doing. What
council has no bearing on whether the license go through or not, right? That has to, we're aware of it, but that has to go through our police department.
Well, it goes through the state.
Well, I know, but the initial, yeah, I mean, we get those notices, but it's just for general information for us, because we.
No, council's the body that is supposed to be the ones to submit objections on behalf of the city.
See, I was never, ever, ever brought anything like that in council to vote yes, yea or nay against, you know, to a license being favored or not.
And I would imagine, I mean, and you've been here a long time, I get that. I would imagine something like this doesn't happen very, very often. I mean, people.
Well, I mean, it was easier prior when basically there was just information here that we went to the police department, the police department sent it into who actually makes that decision.
Right.
That seemed like the easiest way. We don't have any dog in the fight. The police
That's what I'm saying.
department sends in the police reports
Yeah.
to the state
Sure.
who makes that decision. I would have thought the same thing.
And the state denied him his license anyway, correct?
Deny the transfer and the new application,
So
correct?
I would have to go along with what the state has said.
I agree.
Okay.
If they feel that the records that we gave the state, which Megan got for us as a council, and they felt that he was not able to represent that license properly, then.
That's what they were saying. The conclusion specifically was the division has considered environmental factors affecting the maintenance of public decency, sobriety, and good order, including the number and, no, that's not necessarily important, but that's what they said.
Now, being that he has all these charges against him and whatnot, is he still
Well-
able to run this business underneath the previous owner's license?
I want to stress that the only charges that I'm aware of that were
Accusations, I'm
actually
sorry.
filed were the violation of the protection order that was filed in this court and then the one back in 2006 when he was convicted of disorderly conduct again. All the other ones are just incident reports that were documented and made,
Okay.
and so never any charges.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, obviously, they're denying him this and everything else, whatnot. Is it right for him to be running this business underneath the previous owner's permit?
Well, that's something that I guess is gonna be up to liquor control to deal with. I mean, I don't know how that really works, to be honest with you. I don't know the answer to the question.
Okay.
But I would just, again, just state that, but for, again, Megan doing what she was told to do, we probably wouldn't be sitting here right now, because my guess is it probably would have went through without a problem. So, that's one thing. If you guys wanna just let me know, give me guidance on what you want me to do, it
So if
doesn't
they
matter to
only
me.
had the 2 incidences that he was convicted on, would he have passed?
Questionable, probably not. I think the convictions go a long way. Now, there's not,
So is that what they based their decision on?
they based the
Those two?
decision on, no, they based the decision on
Everything.
all of that. I read that directly out of their reasoning and why they denied him. Those were all the incidents that they
So that's
cited.
their
in
words.
That's correct,
Okay.
that's correct.
But John, council truly doesn't have to take a stance on this either. They can say, here's the information to the liquor control board, whatever liquor control decides, they decide. That could also be correct.
That could be as well, and that, I just wanna know what my marching orders are going to be going forward is what I'm looking for.
I guess, Bob, I'm asking you too, because you've been here the longest and you've never ran across anything like this. Is this something that council wants to get into, or you wanna say, here's the information that we don't know these people, here's the information that we have, the police reports, you decide, your liquor control, we're
Yeah, they're
gonna.
the governing body.
Right, I mean, that's kinda where I'm
We don't
at.
grant him a license.
No, we don't have anything to do with it, basically.
We provide them with
Well,
the
what is your-
But on the
information.
flip side though, he's operating a liquor establishment in our city.
City is
That's
covered.
why we have,
And that's
that's
your,
why we get notified, that's why we have the opportunity.
and that's your involvement in it, that's where,
That's-
and that's why we have to involve him in that. I understand.
Well, I'm involved now because
Right.
because of the objection to the initial
Sure.
applications that were filed, that's how I got involved.
So do we have to give you the right to do this and everything else? That's what you want to hear from us? Or you just want our opinion?
I would like to know whether or not you want me to continue to oppose the transfers, or you want me to
Oppose the transfers to the liquor board and everything else?
oppose, yes, the liquor, yes, when it goes to the state of,
Transfer in application.
a new application, once it goes down, do you want me just to say, we laid out our information, we deferred to the board, this is what we provided? I don't know, it seems kind of, I guess the comeback on that might be, well then, if you're just providing us the information, why did you object to it in the first place? Might be the question that comes back, I don't know. So I don't know how adamantly you guys want me to continue to oppose this.
I say we just go with the state's decision then. That's all, what the state made.
Well, and that, again, Ronnie, that's what's being appealed right now. It's now going from the liquor division and it's being appealed to the liquor
So you're
commission.
saying as council, we could stop that appeal?
Well, what I'm saying is you can tell me, you can say, we want to withdraw the appeal. I can let them know. Then they're free to do whatever they're going to do at that point in time without our objection being necessarily the obstacle there.
Well, you know, apparently the way this guy threatens everybody, I don't want anybody on council being threatened.
But,
Well, I
but we
wouldn't want
also
somebody
don't
like that
know,
having
I mean, let's be realistic,
that in
those,
the
like John
city.
said, and again, I can't vote on this anyway, so don't think that, I'm just saying, those are accusations, correct, John?
That's correct.
But they
We
were
only
called,
have
the
two-
police were called for those accusations.
That's
I'm just saying in general, and you're talking about two people who are now divorced, you really don't know
Right.
if the accusations were true, they were not true, and I'm not sticking up for anybody, I'm just saying in general.
I will say
the
the
law-
violation of the protection order that I filed here, there was a young girl who was in the house who watched him walk into the house into his ex-wife's house. So
I
I
disagree,
think
like
that,
I said, I don't want to be getting threatened by somebody that, if we make a decision on something and, hey, Mr. Bates, this Mr. Burnside said yes, and, you know, I don't want them coming up and, I don't want to threat.
Well, that's why they pay you the big bucks. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
they make these hard decisions.
You know why I got out of
Yeah,
buy here pay, don't you?
So, to lay this out, you want a opinion to oppose the transfer?
Yeah, it's not, it's not my job to go and fight this if no one else wants to fight it, I guess.
So I'm gonna lay it out there, do we want John to come up with a one sentence state we oppose the transfer and the liquor for that establishment?
So it would be two things, correct,
Right.
Mike? One would be, do we oppose it still and keep the position that was sent in? Or the second one would be, do we repeal our
Yes.
position and we want the state to decide whatever they decide? Those would be the two.
Yes.
That sounds exactly, go with the state's decision, if we all would do that. We would go around the round table and say, go along with the state's.
So you're either gonna say state's decision or same?
Was one thing, was
But that
our
doesn't
police chief,
Give him what he needs.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
was he opposed to him getting it? Was it his recommendation not to grant him?
I'm going to say that the police chief didn't really care either way. I think he got thrown into it once the paperwork was sent down by Megan opposing it. Then we had a hearing where the police chief is required to testify. So we really didn't have a choice at that point in time. We were already objected and had to have the hearing. So, but I don't necessarily think that from talking to Roddy, he didn't really take a position either way.
How often are forces sent down there for any problems?
I haven't seen anything. I mean, you read the reports all the time, and probably more than I do even.
Just the ones that you had just mentioned, right, the most recent?
Those are the ones that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of anything recently.
Not recent, I haven't seen anything recent.
To be honest, I lease the building next door. You wouldn't, when I'm at my building, you wouldn't know anything's going on there. I mean, I never see cops, I never see problems. I don't see that many cars.
I don't either, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I'm mostly there
But I don't
during
go
the
in there.
day. I mean, latest I'm at my shop might be 7, 8 o'clock at night. I ain't there at 2 in the morning, but I've never seen any problems there, honestly.
I haven't either, but you know, the thing is, you know, and I don't wanna see no businesses get denied anything else in the city either, but obviously we have to, you know, take some actions for, you know, what happened down there already and straighten things out if he's gonna apply for these things one way or the other, you know?
So you're either gonna say repeal or stay the same, correct?
That's all I need to hear.
Go around the table.
Okay, Ricky?
I go with the state's, stay the same, whatever your recommendation was and the state's recommendation is.
Bob?
I agree, I would go with the state recommendation, maybe with ruling authority, basically.
Same thing, say Greg.
Lori?
Go with the state.
Yeah, same.
Abstain.
Okay.
But John, so just to be clear, you're going with the state, so you are repealing, correct?
I was kind of confused on when the
Yeah.
vote went
I
around.
mean, that's the way I understood it. The way I understood
You're
it
gonna
is,
go by the
you're taking-
state with their final.
So
You're
again,
gonna
what I
repeal
can do
what
is
we
I can
said.
call, we could call the state and say, we are withdrawing our opposition to these transfers. You guys make a decision based on the information that you have available.
I thought they already
That's the way
made
that I
decision.
took it.
Again, it's being appealed. It's
Who's
being,
appealing it?
McManus is appealing it's kind of confusing because
But
we deal
the
with.
state already made a
Yeah, but
but a
he's
portion of
appealing
that
this.
is based off of what.
okay, he's
See?
appealing it, that has nothing to do with the state right now.
Well,
The
they're
state-
appealing to the state, they're the one that
Okay,
denied
they're
it.
appealing to the state, but
It's all
the
about
state
the
says
appealing.
what?
It's
The
up on
state
top of
says-
But the state made a decision based off
Yeah.
of what
Correct.
what our clerk of
There's
council
still
said.
two things in there that,
He's appealing that though.
yeah.
So it's confusing because I'm just gonna use liquor division and liquor commission. They're two separate bodies. The division heard the case first, based on our opposition to the transfer.
Right.
That we had the hearing, they denied the transfers in the new application. McManus then has a right to appeal the division's decision to the liquor commission, which is a different body. And that's what he's doing
That's
now.
what he's
So
Can we take back the allegations and have them make their only decision?
Correct, that's what I thought you guys just voted on, to
That's
be
what I
honest.
thought it
Yeah,
was
get
too.
rid of the allegations and let them make the
Well,
decision.
I could
on-
withdraw the objection.
Not the
The allegations are already matter of record. They're gonna
They-
stay there.
So the way that I understood what you guys just voted, John will basically repeal our stance on it. The information still stands, and we're
Correct.
saying liquor control board,
Make up.
this is your call.
This is your.
This is all we're sending you, and this is up to you.
Yeah,
That-
that's what I want.
That's what you guys voted on.
That's what they voted.
Yes.
Alright, so I need to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any other unfinished business?
Can I
Yes,
just clarify? When we get stuff from the Division of Liquor Control, this is the first time that we ever had any kind of arrest records or anything like that. And when you get something that says, like, stuff had happened, you have to get the stuff, you have to object to it, and then you send them all the information, and that's what I did. But
I don't think
not
anybody thinks you
reading
did
through.
anything wrong
No,
at all.
no, I'm just,
You
no, I'm
didn't.
just saying that when it comes to, so this was the first one that this
Yeah.
ever happened in all the years that I've been.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying.
normally
I've
stuff
never
comes
been
up
through
and
this.
there's no arrest records or any kind of police reports or anything like that. So as soon as that came up like that,
Or the
then
red
it was.
flag.
But basically, in something like this, we were just conveying information. We're not
Yes.
taking a stance.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
any other unfinished business? New business? Law Director John, you gave a nice report there.
Except Dom is starting a drug court that will be going on Tuesdays now. Tuesday afternoon.
Starting this coming Tuesday.
I believe so, yes. Just so everybody's aware.
Any questions or comments for Law Director? Auditor's not here. Bob, any questions? You got anything?
Yeah, no report this week.
Questions for our Safety Director?
How are we on our salt and stuff for the winter coming up?
It's all been, that was ordered back in March. We ordered,
So we're good? We're
Yeah.
gonna be good then?
Probably way cheaper to order then too.
well, that's when state purchasing, we get into the state purchasing, that's when they ask for your request for how much you want.
Don't we go with like Camel and Poland and?
We're actually with the whole state.
Yeah, oh, okay.
So they ask how much we want, so they get a total number of how much they have to order statewide, and then they get prices, and then we use fund, I think we're right around $72 a ton this year.
Anything else for our Safety Director? Okay, after the, anyone wishing to address council, I'll be looking for a motion to go into executive session. Need a motion to adjourn this caucus.
Make a motion.
Second. Okay, motion